goes over there to make sure that you have locked it in place. And that is a secure. Hello and welcome. My name is Joseph and you're watching the Angler Styles. This is the second video in the how to playlist that we're doing. So basically what we're trying to do here is to show some of the knots that I use when I go fishing. I've learned a hard way on which knots to use and which knots not to use, because when you go fishing sometimes you lose a lot of fish, and in the heat of feeding frenzy nobody's got time to help you and show you how it works. So you're gonna have to learn by yourself. So I have been looking at a number of knots, and I've noticed also when I go fishing with other people that there's one fundamental mistake that people make when they're doing the knot that we're going to be showing today. So I'm showing the FG knot, and what I think is the best way of doing this ever since I've been watching a number of videos, and how this can be one of the best knots available, even better than the improved GT knot that I did in the first video. So basically, one of the most important things here is to make sure that you have tension from your rod to the end of the line. So this will be my main line, so I'm going to wrap it on my pinky a couple of times. This is just to make sure that there's some pressure, also there's some tension. And then I'm using a bright colored braid just for demonstration purposes. And on the other side, I have a 40 lb fluorocarbon leader. Okay. So basically what I like to do is keeping the tension on here. I take enough line in my left hand side, and then I bring it closer to my finger, so I'll be able to work with these fingers. So basically now it's forming a T. So you just go alternative 1, 2. Now tip number 1, make sure that these coils are very close together. Okay? So I've done 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Always tensioning these and making sure they come very close together. 7. Don't put too much pressure from here because you want to keep this straight. 8, 9, alternative 11, 9, 10, sorry, 11, 12, 18. As you do this, you need to pay attention to the growing number of coils on the leader. So this is what I have. Now the advantage of this is you can do a very small number of coils because this is supposed to be one of the strongest knots available. So now that I've done this, I can release on this side. So basically what we have now is that. Okay, so now I need to finish off the knot. So firstly, I'll take the braid and the leader, put them together, and then I tie half each knot, right, to secure the end. So that's number 1. Now you really need to lock here. This is where the second trick is. The first one is make sure your coils are very close together. And that's the first one. That's the first trick. The second one, make sure when you're tying your half hitch knots, you're making them very, very secure. Right? The number of half hitch knots that you can do to secure this depends on how much time you have. You can even do more than half each knots. Like that, I can take this and do 1, 2, and then lock it up. The idea is to make sure you lock it up. Lock it up nicely. Make sure you respect the positioning of the coils. So this is how far I've gotten so far, with the half each knots tied. Now that it's locked in place, I can tension and straighten and make sure that it's nicely tied. Okay, so where we have gotten to so far, right? This is not the FG knot. Right? This is just a bunch of coils that you have, a bunch of coils of the braid that you have on your leader. How it becomes the FG knot is this braid has to dig into the fluorocarbon. So basically, wet the area so you don't get too much heating over there, and then you need this first coil that you have here to dig in. Once you get that one to dig in, then you're in business. So basically, you're gonna have to secure yourself on the braid and also on your leader, and then pull. Okay, pull as hard as you can. Now, today it's cutting into my hand, so I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna use this. So instead of the rod I was using, this just secured on my desk here. Okay. So that, and then I pull, and I'm gonna get something else to use. So this is just the stem that I have is for my Insta camera, Insta 360. So I'll just tie over here, over here, and then take that and then pull. Right? You're making sure that it's digging at the end. Now once you have done that, you see how clean that is? That is your FG knot. If your fluorocarbon keeps on returning, that means you still need to do some more pulling. But that is secure. Okay. So now after you have done that, now you can cut this. This is a very strong knot. You can cut this as close as you want. You can even secure your... Ta-da! Now that I'm sure that this first coil has dug in, now I can cut this. Now I can cut this as close as possible, which is the advantage of this knot. Now once I've closed this, it's not finished, and this is not finished. That I still have my tag end, so I take that and I can do again half each knot to close at the top. Okay, I'm using my mouth to help me do this. Close, make sure this is tight. Do another one. Here you can use the number of these half each knots. So that's 2. Okay, you can do several of this. So you can. This is my main line. This is the tag end. So I can do this. 1, section this. Then pull. Okay, now I've locked it in place. Then after I've done this, I can then come here and cut this tag end off. And now that's almost done. I still have this. Now I can bend this. That is a very strong FG knot. Now again, remember, to make this a very strong knot, you need to make sure that these coils are very close together. That's number one. Number two, once you finish, once you finish and you put your first half each knots, you need to then pull. Right? Make sure you pull as hard as you can. What you're trying to do as you do that is to make sure that which is the first coil that you have is dug in. Right? So use as much force as you can. Make sure that it's dug in. Once you have done that, then you can clip off the leader, right? The tag knot on the leader, and then with the tag end that is left, like I did, tie your half each knots or with additional coils over there to make sure that you have locked it in place. And that is a secure FG knot. Thank you again for watching. So this was the FG knot and the tips and tricks that I've seen. You might have had a tiny voice in the background, so that's my son Simba. He always likes to come and work with me as I do this. Thank you again for watching. Like, share, subscribe. Until we meet again on the next one.